For fighters, fight fighters.
Believe the hype, Abdul Patel. I am here once again with Louis Bacon. Louis, how are you, brother?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me again.
No worries, man.
Yeah.
How's everything going? Like, obviously, quick turnaround. Back now down to Fight Town in Swindon.
Yeah.
Talk to me. How's everything been from your last fight leading up to this Saturday?
Yeah, so it's been good. Straight back into camp, obviously, from the last one. The last one was in March, end of March. So a couple of weeks off, and I was straight back to it. So it's good. I didn't have to chase that fitness back up. Just went straight back into it and working on what we've been working on in the gym. And yeah, we're back to fight week. In a couple of days, we go again.
Yeah, man. So again, another sort of step up in challenge. You're going up against another one to progress the record and get you the sort of rounds you need. How are you feeling with this one in terms of like your preparation for the one before, but now like you've passed that sort of test, and now where's your growth at in terms of taking this one on?
To be honest, I don't really focus too much on them. Obviously, I've seen in box before. A few of the lads know I'm in the gym. Like I said, it's another fight, it's going to be another win. I've just got to focus on myself, do what I do best, and get the win, which I will, and push on to the next.
Obviously these guys being like journeymen and etc. Like, do you go in with like, okay, the mindset of I just need to perform, or is there specific things where you're like, that didn't quite work in my last fight, so I want to try and show that, or etc.
So I'm my own worst enemy, should I say? I'm always harsh on myself, but I'm a perfectionist. I want to do well. I want to go to the top, and if there's something I didn't do quite well on the last performance, I think I need to do better the next one. And it's just learning at this stage. You always want to do better. There's always things to learn on, but there's also things that you do well, and the things you do well, you got to just build on. And the things that we don't do so well, work on as well as our strengths. So it's just a balance of what we need to work on and what we do well, and just putting it all together in the ring.
Yeah, man, I completely get that. I think, it is just constant development and growth, isn't it? I would say from my perspective, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but at this point in your career, it is just like getting around and getting this sort of exposure and experience leading up to like where you start taking the riskier fights and the sort of contender ones. But being in Baker Street, obviously you've got some killers in here, like some legit fighters that, I hope to see it, and I truly believe we're going to be seeing like county champions, which one we already have, English, British, and going on to that world stage. Does it get to a point where training camp is actually a lot harder because of the people you're sharing your camp with? Becomes a lot more harder than the actual fight.
100%. I always say that training and our sparring, especially in the gym, we've got Brad that I'm doing regular rounds with, is harder than the actual fight itself, which is good. A lot of people say the fight's won in the gym, which I believe in. Obviously you've got to perform on the day, but the hard work's done now. It's all about having fun, enjoying yourself in the ring, and just do what we do since we have done as a kid. Just enjoy it, have fun, get the win. But it is, especially our gym, it is very hard with the competition that we got round. But it's good because it pushes us on. We push each other on, and it's good.
Yeah, man. I was going to say to you as well, like in regards to Todd, like I see glimpses of it because it's all through like social media, etc. But Todd doesn't stop praising you guys, and he does talk about you guys a lot in such great ways. And I've always known Todd to be like, he says it the way it is. If it's bullshit, he's just like, nah, it's shit. So when he is praising, I know it's genuine. Where in like in your sort of boxing career, amateur, pro, I know obviously you've come over to Baker Street. Under Todd's guidance, how is his approach to like training into the camp, and like how are you finding it?
So at first I found it difficult. It was just a change to me, and it was a lot of mental thinking rather than physical. But you know, as I've started to get used to it and start to get used to Todd's training methods, it's good. We work well together. You know, I want to go to the top as much as he wants to go to the top, and you know, we're a team. We work well together. But yeah, you know, like you said, Todd says how it is. If it's shit, he'll tell us it's shit. He's not one to, you know, blow smoke up our asses for no reason. If it's shit, he'll tell us it's shit. If it's good, he'll say, you know, that was good, but we got this to learn, or we got this to do. You know, we're never satisfied because, you know, we've got a long way to go, but that's part of learning, I guess. You know, you just gotta stay humble and keep going.
I guess the blessing is as well, because you've been doing this from such a young age, it's just normal, isn't it? Like, you know, like, yeah, you could come and have a bad day, but there's been bad days before, and how have you got over that? Yeah,
it's normal, and everyone has bad days, everyone has good days. It's just how you deal with it. You know, you can either sulk about it. You know, for instance, if I have a bad spar, like I said, I'm my own worst enemy. But I use that as fuel, and I think, right, that was shit. I need to improve. You know, I need to be better next time, and that's what I do, and that's why I'm improving so much.
I don't want you to necessarily think this is like aimed at you or anyone in specific, but I was speaking to Shaq Marks about this yesterday, and it was an interesting point in the interview we had. But especially in boxing nowadays, with the likes of Usyk, Bivol, Terence Crawford, all these guys that have like unbeaten records. Mayweather was obviously the lead with that stuff. But I feel like when fighters get like a loss now, like they get such a bad rap, like especially by fans and maybe more so like casuals, right? But you look at the greats that have lost, like Ali, Tyson, so forth, right? Even the new era, like Canelo, etc. There's no way you could put shit in the same sentence as those people's names. And I feel like one loss doesn't define your career, even 2, 3, 4, 5. Like if you're taking strings of loss, I think that's something you need to look back at what you're doing or how you're performing. And like for me, when I see young people or I see early prospects coming into their boxing career, I don't think a loss early on even defines it. I think a loss can be great. Like when you look at the MMA guys, you know, most great ones as well take their first, you know, amateur loss or their first pro loss, their second pro loss, and then they go on toward world titles. What's your thoughts on like that sort of undefeated?
I mean, like you said, a lot of the greats have had losses. You know, like you said, sometimes it takes a loss to, I don't know, switch you back on or get you that love back for the game. You know, so you can win a world title and think I've completed it, but then get beat. But sometimes that loss takes you back to square one and think, right, let's get back down to business. But yeah, like you said, I don't think a loss should, you know, it doesn't. What's the word I'm looking for?
Doesn't define.
Yeah, you know, like you said, sometimes you need that loss. Obviously, none of us boys have had our loss yet. You know, hopefully we don't have a loss. But you know, I'm not going to say it's not going to happen, because you could be in a good 50-50 fight and unfortunately sometimes on the night you don't get a decision. But it's just part of the game. You just gotta keep going, and if it happens, it happens. Just don't let it discourage you and keep going.
Yeah, man. And I feel like sometimes like you can watch a fight where, and I'm not talking about a boring fight from the perspective where someone's such a clean and sharp boxer. Like a lot of people say, for example, Shakur Stevenson's a boring fight, but he's not.
He's not. If you like boxing, he's not.
Yeah, exactly. He just knows how to box.
Yeah.
But when you see fights where there isn't much activity and it's a lot more like hesitant to pull the trigger, or there's a lot of more grappling, I'd rather see someone get into like actually perform and take the loss than see that and get the win.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, sometimes fighters get more respect for having that loss. You know, if it's a great fight, you know, someone said to me the other day, you don't remember people's records, you remember their fights. You know, and you look at someone like Sam Eggington, for instance, all of his fights, he's been in wars. You know, they don't remember his record, they remember the fights he's been in. You know, so it doesn't matter about the records, you know, records with DJs, aren't they?
Yeah, man.
It doesn't mean anything. Obviously everyone wants that clean record, but like you said, if you're engaging the fans and you're in good fights, that's where the money comes, you know. It's not about the record, it's about you as a boxer and your fights.
I guess that brings me on to like my next question in terms of like legacy. But just touching on that, like everyone remembers like the Johnny Fisher fights, not world champion. I don't even think he's won a British title.
No, exactly. But everyone remembers him when he made good money.
Yeah, not Johnny Fisher. What's his name?
Dave Allen.
Dave Allen.
Yeah,
Dave
exactly.
Allen.
Yeah.
And like the likes of him, and then there's so many other people, obviously world class, but like even like Josh Taylor, the likes of Amanda Serrano, who's obviously lost to Katie Taylor a few times. But those are fights people remember because they're entertaining, they perform, and they fight. But like I couldn't tell you what Amanda Serrano's record is.
No, exactly. Yeah.
But I can tell you all about the fight.
Yeah, exactly. People don't remember the records. They don't remember the numbers. They just remember the fights. So I just think records mean fuck all. You know. If you're a good fighter, you're a good fighter. You know, like I said, the record shouldn't define you as if you're good or not, because it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, some of the greats have had 4 or 5 losses, but they're still great fighters.
100%. Like you look at when Canelo lost to Mayweather, and then when he came back, well, I think the second fight he lost after that was Bivol.
Yeah, well look at him now. Again, people, if you didn't really know boxing, you wouldn't think that he's had like a couple of losses, would you? But he's a great fighter, and he's a multi-millionaire, and I bet he doesn't care about the losses. Yeah,
this is it. And I think in terms of like legacy, it's already built. Like I think from the point he was like going up in weight classes, smashing everyone, like it's done. Like whether you lose after that, it doesn't matter. Which is why I wanted to ask you, like when it comes to a point in your career, and this is like very far ahead, but what is the legacy you want to leave behind? What do you want people to remember Louis Bacon for?
Just being myself, you know, and someone who started from a small place like Cheltenham and hopefully gone to win, you know, big titles, British, English, world, and just make people believe in themselves, you know, think, right, he's done it, so I can do it. Obviously I haven't done it yet, but I believe in myself that I will. And yeah, just, you know, being good fights as well.
You know, one thing I just want to say, Louis, it's easy to, like, once you get to the top, you're in the money, you're in, you know, the spotlight, etc. And it's easy to forget about the grassroots, because you're going to have a lot of yes men around, you're going to have a lot of media, and the normal life you want to live isn't really going to be, you're never really going to fade back into that. But what I will say is, you know, I think there is a lot of boxers that once they make it to a stage where they can give back to their community, they always do. Whether it becomes public or not, it doesn't matter, they do it. But I feel like in this point of your career where, you know, finances can be difficult because boxing is not really paying the bills, and you're trying to get to that point where you break through and then you can make some serious money and make boxing a full-time job. One day when you do make it to that tournament, remember how this feels, so that like when there's other people coming up, you know, and they're early in their prospects, that if you can help in any way, shape or form, whether it's, you know, financially, mentally, physically, or whatever, or even just sharing a message with them, like, I feel like you would be that person anyway.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I try and help lads nowadays, like even in the amateurs, from my experience as an amateur, you know, and I'm not different to the lads starting. You know, I was once in their shoes, so like you said, if I can help people and guide them in the right way, you know, guide them in ways that I should have gone or the way I did go, then, you know, it's going to help them.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, it's just, yeah, I think, you know, even after my boxing career, I'll be like that.
Yeah. Nah, it's a beautiful trait to have, and it's why I want to bring it out with you, because I feel like you're an easy person to talk to. One, you're very warm and welcoming, but I think there is anyway, but I think there's a lot of people that look up to you and like, oh, what's Luke? How's he doing this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good to see like some of the younger lads looking up to myself, because, like I said, I'm no one special, but I've just worked hard and I'm chasing my dreams, and that's all it is really. It's nothing special. Like I said, I haven't done nothing in the sport yet, but when younger lads do come to you for advice, it does make you feel good about yourself. You know, it makes you feel like you are doing something right. So you just got to keep going.
Yeah, man. It's a sweet thing to experience when people acknowledge you, give you flowers, and they come and ask you questions because they know you're skilled or experienced in that. listen, Saturday, what can we expect, man? I know like it's the generic question, but like leading up to it, big fight night, once again for you. No doubt we're probably going to see some more before the year's out. But what can we expect this Saturday?
Just another big performance, really. You know, all of my performances have got better each time, so this one's going to be good. And the better the opponent, the better I am. So, yeah, if he comes, then good luck to him. But he's going to get hurt even more than if he was to tuck up. So, yeah, it's going to be good, and I'm looking forward to it.
Nice one, Louis. Thank you very much for your time, brother.